Imagine a world swallowed by water, where the skies roared with divine fury, and the earth trembled under the weight of human sin. The story of Prophet Nuh and the Great Flood is a tale that echoes through time, a saga of faith defiance and Allah's unyielding justice. But one question has haunted believers and scholars for centuries. Did this catastrophic flood truly engulf the entire world, erasing all life except those aboard Noah's Ark? Or was it a divine punishment for a single rebellious nation? Picture a lone prophet standing tall against a mocking crowd, his voice unwavering as he calls them to Allah. Imagine him building a colossal ark in a sun-scorched desert, ridiculed by those who saw no sea. Why did Nuh endure such rejection? For centuries, what drove him to obey a command that seemed impossible? And when the heavens finally unleashed their wrath, what secrets did the flood reveal? You won't believe the twists in this divine story. Details that will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about the Great Flood. Stay with us until the end to uncover the truth behind one of humanity's greatest mysteries. Long ago, in a time when the earth was still young, a thriving civilization flourished between mighty rivers, some say near the lands of modern-day Iraq. Golden fields stretched beneath endless skies, and bustling markets buzzed with the voices of traders. Yet beneath this vibrant surface, darkness festered. The people had turned their backs on Allah, bowing to idols carved from stone and wood, false gods named Wad Suwa and Yaguth. These idols promised wealth and power, but they delivered only corruption, greed, and oppression. Sin spread like a plague, poisoning hearts and minds. In this chaotic world stood Nuh, a man chosen by Allah Ta'ala with weathered hands and eyes that burned with both compassion and resolve. Nuh was no ordinary figure. For centuries he walked among his people, his voice cutting through the noise of their markets. Worship Allah alone, he urged. He is your creator and you have no Lord but him. But his words were met with scorn. Nuh, you're delusional, the elders sneered. Children pelted him with stones, and wealthy merchants mocked his warnings. Yet Nuh pressed on, his heart heavy with love for his people, but heavier still with the weight of Allah's message. The air grew thick with tension. Whispers of a coming calamity began to circulate, though few took them seriously. Some sources say the animals grew restless, pacing nervously as if sensing an unseen threat. The skies darkened unnaturally, and the rivers churned with strange currents. The people laughed, calling it superstition, but a few felt a chill in their bones. What was happening? Why had the world begun to feel so unsteady? The stage was set for a divine reckoning, one that would reshape the earth and test the faith of a prophet. Nuh's family stood by him, though even they faced doubts. His sons, Sam, Ham, and Yam, watched their father toil tirelessly, his resolve unshaken. In the quiet moments, Nuh would gaze at the horizon, praying for his people to turn back to Allah. But the more he preached, the harder their hearts became. The world was on the brink, and only Nuh knew the true scale of what was to come. A storm was brewing, not just in the skies, but in the very soul of creation. One blistering afternoon, Nuh stood in the village square, his voice booming like thunder. "O my people, abandon your idols and turn to Allah, or a great punishment will befall you." The crowd jeered, their faces twisted with arrogance. A wealthy merchant draped in silks stepped forward, his voice dripping with mockery. "No, you've been ranting for centuries. Where is this punishment? Show us a sign or leave us to our gods." The crowd erupted in laughter, their voices drowning out Nuh's plea. That night, everything changed. As Nuh knelt in prayer under a starless sky, a divine revelation struck him like a bolt of lightning. Allah's voice, majestic and unyielding, filled his heart. "Build an ark, for I shall send a flood to cleanse the earth of those who reject my signs." Nuh's hands trembled as he absorbed the command. An ark? In a land where water was scarce, The people would. They call him mad, but his faith was a fortress. He bowed his head and whispered, "I obey, my lord." The next morning, Ner gathered his tools and began his work in a barren valley far from the city's mocking eyes. His sons joined him, hammering planks of wood. Under the relentless sun, Sam, the eldest, looked at his father with concern. "Father, will they ever listen?" Nu paused, sweat dripping from his brow. "Only Allah knows their hearts, my son. Our duty is to obey." The ark began to take shape, a massive structure of wood and faith rising like a monument in the desert. Word of the ark spread quickly. Crowds gathered, pointing and laughing at what they called Nu's folly. A young man shouted, "Old man, do you think the sea will come to you?" Nu's voice was calm but firm. "Mock as you will, but the day will come when you beg for a place on this ark." The crowd roared with laughter, but a few stood silently, their eyes flickering with unease. The air felt heavier now, as if the earth itself was holding its breath as the years passed. The ark grew larger, its shadow stretching across the valley. Nu continued to preach, his voice a beacon in the darkness. "Return to Allah," he cried. "The flood is coming, and none shall escape except those who believe." A handful of people, poor, humble and sincere, began to listen. They joined Nu, helping him build the ark, their faith a quiet rebellion against the city's arrogance, but the majority scoffed, their hearts sealed shut. What happened next would shake them to their core. The ark stood complete, a towering testament to Nu's faith. Its wooden frame gleamed under the sun, a silent warning to a world blind to its fate. Nu's calls grew more urgent. "Turn back to Allah," he pleaded. "The time is near." Some listened, their hearts stirred by his sincerity. A small group of believers, men and women with nothing but faith, joined him, their hands calloused from working on the ark. But most turned away, their pride a wall too high to climb. Then the signs began. The earth groaned as if in pain, its surface cracking under an unseen force. Springs dried up and the skies refused to rain. Animals began to gather near the ark, drawn by a divine command. Lions pacing beside lambs, eagles perched beside sparrows. The people whispered, "What is this madness?" But none knew. Allah was preparing the world for his decree. One moonlit night, a woman named Amina approached Na in secret. Her eyes were wide with fear. "My husband mocks you," she whispered, "but I believe. Your words, tell me, Nu, will this flood destroy everything?" Nu's gaze softened. "Amina, Allah's justice is certain, but his mercy is vast. The flood will come for those who reject him. Join us, and you will be safe." Amina nodded, tears streaming down her face, and vowed to board the ark. The disbelievers grew bolder. They sabotaged the ark, stealing tools and carving insults into its planks. One night, a group of men confronted Nu's son, Ham, their torches casting shadows on the ark's hull. "Your father is a fool," their leader spat. "This ship will never sail." Ham stood tall, his voice steady. "You will see the truth when the waters rise." The men laughed, but their laughter faltered as a distant rumble echoed through the valley. The skies were no longer silent. The air was thick with an eerie calm, and the stars seemed to dim. Something was coming, something unstoppable. As the days passed, the signs grew undeniable. The rivers swelled their waters, dark and restless. The people began to whisper among themselves, their mockery tinged with fear. "What if Ner is right?" one man murmured, but his friends silenced him. "He's a madman," they said, though their voices lacked conviction. The world was on the edge of a precipice, and only Ner and his followers could see it. What happened next would change everything. The day of reckoning arrived like a thief in the night. The skies split open, and rain poured down in sheets, as if the heavens themselves were weeping. The earth shuddered, and water erupted from its depths as Allah had decreed. And we opened the gates of heaven with pouring water and caused the earth to burst with springs. The valley became a raging sea. and the ark groaned as waves crashed against its sides. Nuh stood at the ark's entrance, his voice cutting through the storm. "Come aboard, all who believe. This is your final chance." The believers, only a few dozen, scrambled aboard, their faces pale with awe. The animals, guided by Allah's will, filed in orderly rows, filling the ark with life. But the disbelievers ran in panic, their laughter replaced by screams. "No, save us," they cried, wading through the rising waters. But the time for mercy had passed. Among the crowd was Nuh's own son, a disbeliever who had rejected his father's call. Nuh's heart shattered as he saw him clinging to a hill, shouting, "I'll be safe here." Nuh's voice broke as he pleaded, "My son, come with me. There is no safety except with Allah." But the young man turned away, and a towering wave swallowed him whole. Nuh fell to his knees, tears mixing with the rain, as Allah's voice reassured him, "He is not of your family, for his deeds were evil." The flood raged on its waters, relentless. Some sources say the waves rose so high that even the tallest mountains vanished beneath them, suggesting a global catastrophe. Others argue the flood was a localized punishment meant to erase Nuh's rebellious people. Whatever the truth, the world they knew was gone. The ark floated on an endless sea, carrying the last remnants of faith in a world washed clean by Allah's will. The storm's roar was deafening, but within the ark there was hope, a flicker of light in the darkness. When the rains finally ceased, the ark came to rest. Some say on Mount Judy, its wooden frame creaking as it settled on the cleansed earth. Nuh stepped onto the ground, his heart heavy yet hopeful. The believers knelt in gratitude, their voices rising in unison. All praise is due to Allah, who saved us from the wrongdoers. The animals scattered, repopulating the earth, and life began anew under a sky washed clean. The story of Nuh is a powerful reminder of Allah's justice and mercy. It teaches us that sin cannot go unpunished forever, but Allah's mercy awaits those who hold fast to faith. Nuh's patience, enduring centuries of ridicule, is a beacon for us all. What value is pride or wealth if it leads us away from Allah's path? The flood was not just a punishment, but a renewal, a chance for humanity to rebuild with faith and humility. The question of whether the flood was global or local remains a mystery, but its lesson is clear. Allah's warnings are real, and His mercy is for those who heed them. Let us strive to be among the believers, steadfast in faith, no matter how dark the world becomes. As we reflect on Nuh's incredible story, let us seek Allah's guidance to remain steadfast on His path. May Allah forgive our shortcomings and make us among those who heed His signs. Ameen. What did you think of this epic tale? Have you heard different versions of the Great Flood? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to join our journey through the stories of the prophets. Stay tuned for more cinematic tales that inspire faith and wonder.